Hey guys, and welcome to a legendary showdown between two mighty warriors. On the left hand side we have Its Current Year, up against Death is Only a Great Adventure, also known as Iskander. We have the Hageneth sub-faction of the Dark Elves, facing off against the Tomb Kings. Now this was from our one build Battle Royale tournament, which means you pick one build and you stick with that for the duration of the tournament. You cannot change spells, you cannot change units, you can change literally nothing. So both these armies kind of against each other. We're certainly not expecting it to see each other across the battlefield, but despite that, it was a really good fun game and I definitely wanted to recast it. So for the forces of the Dark Elves, you have Dread Spears in the front line, mix them with Bleak Swords, cheap, cheerful, happy to be here, ready for a good fat scrap up against the Undead. And then we have a huge cavalry contingent. Double Dark Riser repeater crossbows have always been considered relatively good in the meta, and we have two of those bad boys protected by some Dark Riders over on that right hand flank, as well as two units of the Cold One Knights, actually one Cold One Knight and one unit of the Knights of the Ebon Claw, Regiment of Renowned Dread Knights, which have 120 armor, incredibly tanky, pretty good in those long, durable fights, and also they do look pretty damn cool. Just behind them, we have the Snitch's Harvesters, regiment around Doomfire Warlocks, who come with their Bound, Word of Pain, and Soul Stealer. But really, the reason I wanted to showcase this build once more is Its Current Year is a big fan of Crone Hellebron, and this battle certainly showcases her power. This vicious lady with her dual swords shall be coming into battle on her rather disgusting looking steed, coming in with Gaze of Cain, Witch Brew, Heroic Killing Blow, as well as the Amulet of Dark Fire and the Cursed Blaze. Big fan of the Amulet of Dark Fire, given that magic resistance. We also have a Sorceress of Beasts coming in with Pound's Impenetrable Pelt, as well as the Curse coming in with that lovely big Hex, minus 24 melee attack, accuracy, and speed debuff. Really fun build, looking to get really aggressive with the cavalry. This front line is going to be the anvil, the rest of the build shall be the hammer. Now, for the forces of the Tomb Kings and Iskander, this is again a really cool build. We have a load of cheap, cheerful, and summoned to behead chaff, skeleton warriors, skeleton spearmen, and the like, but no one's really paying too much attention to them because there's two glorious tomb scorpions in the center of this build. Fabulous looking models. I love the blue etchings into their mastercrafted work, and you can actually see, if you look up above, the mummies that are indeed controlling them. Tomb scorpions can be very good at clearing out the chaff. We have a load of horsemen as well, dotted along, looking to cycle charge in the front line, alongside a couple of pairs of skeleton chariots. Two units of Ushopti are going to be the weapon of choice today. One is the Chosen of the Gods, the other is the basic variety, and Setcher the Imperishable shall be leading his forces, on top of his mighty Kitty Cat, coming in with the two most commonly picked spells in the Tomb King roster. Incantation of Protection, Incantation of Cursed Blades. I see them basically every single time with Setcher, and not really ever seeing anything much else. A few of the shots are coming in. The way the shots fire for the Chosen Gods is so cool that they explode and kind of accelerate forward, raining fire down upon those Cold One Knights, doing some nice damage to them, and they're going to have to fall back a little bit at the moment. On the right hand side, however, Dark Riders are starting to nip at the heels of the Ushopti Greatbow, doing some little damage to them. However, on this flank, Skeleton Chariots are just steamrolling the Dread Spears. When you go for a flank overload, it does often leave one flank a little bit more open to cycle charge, and the Skeleton Chariots certainly looking to make kind of a big deal of that and crash into these Dread Spears, doing some nice work. Looks like the cavalry has now come back to a more central position, looking to drive at the heart of the Tomb King force, which isn't a bad idea. There's not that much protecting the Ushopti. You can certainly push through and do some nice work if he gets nice and aggressive. Looks like the army floating out to this left-hand side, though, getting distracted by the Skeleton Chariots. We should be able to beat them down and destroy them quite nicely, but this is a lot of cavalry coming over to this side, but now the Ushopti can certainly do a good job on the tightly packed Elvish formation. As you can see, Chosen of the Gods are raining fire down upon them. On the far side, Crone Hellebron, as well as some Cold One Knights, have managed to charge in, aiming to take down the Great Bows. They've been blocked by some Skeleton Warriors and a well-placed charge by the Horsemen. However, Bleak Swords are here to support, so are the Dread Spears, and the Dark Riders are continuously popping shots in. Gaze of Cain does go down. That, of course, is going to rampage the poor, lovely Hellebron here, but she does basically become a one-man army, destroying the Ushopti Greatbow. These guys down to about a third health and easily cutting through the Skeleton Warriors. She's very good at clearing out the chaff. Very messy fight so far. Big fights going on both flanks, whereas the middle is a little bit calmer, with some Skeleton Spearmen and Bleak Swords just going at it. Over on the side, though, both the Tomb Scorpions and Setcher came over and just stomped the resistance of the cavalry here, forcing back the Tenacious Halves and Doomfire Warlocks, rampaging and driving off some Cold War Knights, beating down Bleak Swords and Dread Spears alike. Now the Tomb Scorpions are going to float over to the middle. There's not too much that can oppose them apart from the cavalry, and the cavalry is on the other side of the fight, desperately trying to shut down your Shopti. But due to some good micro by the Tomb King play, he's managed to stabilise this unit, pull them back, and once again start shooting, and the Cold War Knights are the ones paying the price. Knights of Edmundclaw are currently terrified, as well as the Dark Riders. Dark Riders Repeater Crossbows, though, are going to start to whip around the flank, it would seem, to try and get into a better position to hunt down the Shopti, which is certainly a good idea. Hellebron herself, Witchbrew, is active, as well as Heroic Killing Blow, and 120 melee attack on her with 1,001 weapon strength. Absolutely insane stat she can give herself if you time her buffs right, and she's now going to be leading that Sorceress and the Cold War Knights once more after the Shopti, driving through the battlefield, ignoring those spearmen and hunting it down the key targets. Beautiful micro there by the Dark Elf player. In the front line, Bleak Swords are slowly going to be carving their way through the Skeleton Spearmen and Chariots, who have been stuck in combat a little bit too long at the moment, though they still have managed to get 44 kills. In the distance, Dark Riders Repeater Crossbows have been forced back, which is really bad news for the Dark Elves. These guys need to ignore this fight over here. They have to be starting to pile in damage to the Tomb Scorpions and Cetra, because not much else which is going to be able to bring them down. Nice summon of the Shopti in the back, trying to catch the Dark Elf player's micro slipping, but looks like he is well and truly on top of it. Pulling back with the Crone Hellebron and the Sorceress of Beast, looking to escape the wrath of the Shopti, but the Sorceress has been caught here, which is an absolute disaster. Her horse kind of staggers a few times, those big cleaving strikes does hit its flanks, and is once again able to get away to relative safety. Both Tomb Scorpions and Cetra looking very healthy at the moment in the centre of the battle, despite the fact the Knights of Edmundclaw have been nicking out the hills for a little while. Cold War Knights are starting to drive after them, and I think isolating down one or two of the Tomb Scorpions would be the best way to do this. A big fat curse is going to be coming down, lowering the melee attack of these Tomb Scorpions to a pitiful 12, so they're really not going to do too much damage. We now have all those buffs popping down, the Gaze of Cain on the Cold War Knights, as well as Hellebron herself trying to get engaged, and is doing some really lovely damage to the Tomb Scorpion, who has been buffed itself. Tomb Scorpion's getting blitzed down rather quickly on the far side. Dark Riders are once again free. Looks like it's due to some good spearmen holding back the enemy lines. These guys can now wrap around and start applying the pressure. However, Chosen of the Gods are still here. Their actually is currently lowered. They were hit by that curse. But if they stand here and shoot into the Dark Riders, they're going to do some lovely damage as more shots do pile in. But this Tomb Scorpion getting taken apart by the Crone. Incantation Protection for going down in a desperate attempt to save as it backflips over into combat once more. But somehow the Crone has one Panzer Petrol pelt down on her. The Sorceress of Beasts and these Knights are doing a brilliant job. Tomb Scorpion disgustingly low health-wise now. Incantation of Cursed Blades has also been popped on it in a desperate attempt to give it a bit more punch and break down the Crone. But Witchbrew is once again active, so is Heroic Killing Blow. Her stats are once again through the roof, charging in here, and every single slap is going to do massive damage. Cetra is taking a pounding as well. Balance power heavily against the Dark Elves at the moment, but if they can assassinate these characters, they'll certainly be in a decent position. Sorceress of Beast has fallen back at the moment, but unfortunately the Dark Riders were finished off here by the Chosen of the Gods. I think it would have been worthwhile sending one into combat with them, while the other then applied pressure from afar, whistling them down with bowfire. Curse once again has gone down. Tomb Scorpion is struggling now, both Tomb Scorpions in fact. Their melee attack staggering dangerously into the low territories. Crone Hellebron doing a fantastic job right now, slicing apart the beastie. The big cab is pincing at her, trying its best, but he is simply outmatched by the pure audacity of the Dark Elf for charging in and taking on 3 single entity monsters pretty much single-handedly. Now charging into the second one, an attempt to finish it off, and it looks like she may well get her wish. Second Tomb Scorpion going down pretty quickly. Chosen of the Gods still been alive is a little bit dangerous though. Yes, they're more based for anti-infantry rather than taking down single characters, but again, damage is damage, particularly long-range damage. Nice, beautiful juking though by the Dark Elf player to manage to avoid some of those shots. Once again, going after the Tomb Scorpion in an attempt to finish it off. Balance Power has clawed its way back more towards the centre, with both those Tomb Scorpions going down and the ammunition slowly waning. But unfortunately, it's just Bleak Swords, the Sorceress, and the Crone herself. Not much else is left around the battle, but she does once more pop the Witchbrew and engage in hand-to-hand combat. A very well-timed Incantation of Protection is keeping Cetra in a pretty happy state at the moment. The Witchbrew does indeed, with Panzer Petrol Pelt, make Hellebron an absolute insane duelist right now, but because of the well-placed Incantation Protection, she was able to do good damage, but not enough, And with that, she is broken and running for the hills. She has some pretty good speed on her right now. Pounds and Penetrable Pelt shall be giving her a new gust of wind to kind of move a little bit forwards. She did manage to get down Setro to about a quarter of his health, or a third of his health. Sorceress of the Beast, though, does look like she's going to be shattering in the distance as army losses sets in. Crone Hellebron going down in a valiant defeat for the Dark Elf forces. Brilliant game by both these guys. Well played to Its Current Year, a fellow content creator here on YouTube, who's makes some really good stuff as well. So make sure to go check out his channel. Its Current Year is the name of it, as well as to Icegander 2 Horned, game by the name of Death is Only a Great Adventure. This was a really fun game to cast live, and I definitely wanted to cast it again, simply to showcase the power of the mighty Crone Hellebron. And in the right hands, if you buff her correctly with the Witch Brew, Heroic Killing Blow, and time it also well, she can certainly be a massive powerhouse, getting 46 kills and 3,272 damage value, 14k damage dealt. And I think taking her on horse is probably the best way to bring her. She can indeed come, I believe, on a Manticore, on foot, and on her mighty Blood Cauldron. And Blood Cauldron looks so cool, but I don't think it's as competitive as her on horseback, where she can drive around the battlefield very quickly and get into the thick of it, buffing up her troops, tearing through. Normally you kind of see her tear through chaff, but here's showing she can actually tear through constructs and single entities rather well as well. So, hope you guys enjoyed this one. We will go through the damage dealt and damage value of all the units in just a second. But if you enjoyed, feel free to leave a big old thumbs up. It really helps push out the video to more people, as well as lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. Also, feel free to leave a comment down below what your favourite moment in the battle was. Who was your MVP? Mine was certainly the mighty Crone Hellebron, and probably the Yashopti. I think the Chosen the Gods. Though it pains my dino heart to praise Yashopti, they are kept online rather well there by Icegander. Also, guys, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We're getting dangerously close to 5,000 subs now, at which point we will be doing some form of celebration stream and giveaway. And in the description, there are links both to my Discord, where you can submit replays, get involved in the tournament scene, and keep up to date with the channel, and also links to my Patreon, where you can support me. But anyway, guys, let's have a look into the rest of the build. So, Sorceress of the Beast coming in, not getting much damage value. Of course, she was really here for the buffs. The Pounds and Penetrable Pelts were quite nice, but particularly those curses, very well played, neutering the effectiveness of the Tomb Scorpions and allowing the Crone to really drag them down without taking too much damage herself. As for the front line, again, it's not going to get much damage value. These guys are pretty cheap themselves, and they're only going up against Skeleton Chaff, trying to force their way into the back line. Good play as well for the most part with the Cold One Knights, 1,000 damage value on this one, 627 on the other, and the other cavalry did kind of suffer a little bit, being drawn into the chariot fight. I think it maybe would have been better to commit to that initial flank overload. All his troops were on that right-hand side. Now, Skyner did start to kind of move his forces around to counter that, but I think they need to commit to that and really drive through and take down the Yashopti, because if they bring down the Yashopti, as we've seen, the Hellebron can kind of help deal with the large entities and kind of carry the day in the end. Because they were drawn in to try and save their front line and destroy those chariots, they unfortunately got shot to pieces. Both the Dark Riders as well, struggling to get on key targets. A really fun game. It's currently had a brilliant tournament. Always love to see a Crone Hellebron build. As far as Icegander, Setro the Imperishable came in with nearly 2,000 damage value on his mighty Kitty Cat. Got a little bit scared at the end, but a well-placed Incantation Protection did keep him alive and healthy. Both the Tomb Scorpions struggled, getting some decent damage value, but nothing amazing. 855 on the better one. Good chaff clears all round, and of course, being a pain, they kind of animations do let them burrow underground and so forth, so it can be kind of hard to kill them quickly, but the Crone proved that that is certainly possible. Amazing micro to keep both these guys online as long as he did. One unit did eventually get shut down, getting 700 damage value, which is solid. But the Chosen the Gods, 3,000, really kind of being the nail in the coffin for the Dark Elves there. Horsemen as well did a solid job just harassing that left-hand flank, and the undead forces here to simply crumble into dust, which they did rather well. But they held back the enemy long enough for those Yashopti to carry the day. Both Skeleton Chariots getting some okay kills, not the best damage value across the board, but 644 certainly not too shabby. Helped clear out the chaff of the Dark Elves and stopped them applying pressure to that back line. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.